Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my highest honor to stand before you to speak about why I wrote this book. But this enormous get-together, gathering of people, no, it's not owed to me, it's owed to Muhammadu Buhari. Can I beg that each one of us, depending on their religions, say a 10-second prayer. May Allah restore President Muhammadu Buhari's health. 10 seconds, please. Thank you. May the God Almighty accept. I'm not going to go, to recognitions, but by necessity, there are a few that I just have to make. Please forgive me if I have to take a little more time. Your Excellency General Yakubu Gowon, the chairman of this occasion, who, as he said, actually deferred his summer holiday. He had gone on holiday from about June and doesn't come back until shortly before his birthday every year in October. Here he is with us. We're deeply honored by this. General, they mentioned Barrier College, and I'm privileged to have attended Barrier College as you did. Because for us, you are the personification of all that is good, of the values that Barrier College represented. When I was in junior class, you visited as the commander-in-chief, as head of state. Something happened, I don't know why. I found myself in a picture in between you and Governor Rotimi, who accompanied you to Barrier College on that day. After you had left, the pictures were put on display in front of the dining hall. Before I got to the dining hall to eat my food, everyone who saw me was screaming, "Come and see, you are in the same picture with General Gowon. You are in the same picture with General." So it's amazing, this life, that I'm seated under the same roof. This mighty gentleman, taller than a windmill. It's a privilege. It's also a privilege that number one citizen of the country, President Bola Ahmed TINUBU, is here adequately represented. Bola Ahmed TINUBU, for me, people can say whatever they want to say. As Buhari's agent, I had been sent a number of times to Bola Ahmed TINUBU to find explanations, to find support for some of our communication issues. Because then, and I believe up to today, President TINUBU has this country's biggest media assets, and he has never failed to come to our aid. So, and it is not by coincidence that he chose Senator George Akume to represent him. And by the way, I hope that the former governor of Benue, when he reads the book, he will not sue me. I hope you will like the picture of him that I have in that book. But Senator Akume was, if you will recall, actually I was one of the campaign managers. His campaign managers when he wanted to be Senate President in 2015. And I also want to say, I want to skip His Excellency Vice President Atiku Abubakar, because I'll come back to him. His Excellency Vice President Oshibanjo, intellectual powerhouse. And by coincidence, he has an equally intelligent wife, Her Excellency Dola. And I used to think that if Professor Oshibanjo wasn't a professor of law. He wasn't into the calling of religion. He and his wife would have been fantastic nuclear engineers. And they would have given this country a very early time, a very early nuclear bomb. Would have passed that stage a long time ago. But he led us and we learned so much from him. And I want to say something that I think that is being skipped in the order of protocol. His Excellency Baba Gana Kingibe is also a Vice President of Nigeria. By the virtue of the recognition that President Muhammadu Buhari of the June 12 election as having produced a president for Nigeria and a vice president. So both himself and Chief Amkiwa Abdullah are deserving of all the honor that is due to former presidents and vice presidents. Let me go to the book. Why did I write it? And again, I hope I'm not going to be accused of taking from Professor Oshibajo's calling. Muslims are encouraged to read widely. The Lord God in the Bible wanted to send someone. In Bible, Isaiah 6:8, he said, "Whom shall I send?" And the journalist stepped forward and said, "Here I am, send me." Not knowing what lied ahead. Some of us who chose journalism as profession, we didn't know that it was a bed with bombs beneath it. This is illustrated by one small story that I will tell. A gentleman and his wife took their 7-year-old child to a shop. As they were going around, mother saw 2 sweaters which she liked for this 7-year-old. Apparently, there was no money to pay for this. So, noticing that she was not being looked at, she picked 2 and tucked them in her bag. Her husband saw her, but shopkeeper didn't see. So they went home. Mommy was in the kitchen preparing food. And so the father looked at this little child and said to him, "Your mother is a thief." So the little boy got so enraged and dashed into the kitchen and was shouting at mother, "You are a thief. Why did you steal sweaters? I will not use them. You must take them back." So she took the sweaters from home and went out, back to the shop, or maybe she just dumped them somewhere else and came back. In growing up to his adulthood, this little boy said he hated his father, not his mother, for telling him that his mother was a thief. As journalists, we get into a lot of trouble, not because it's our own issue, but because we speak for some others. And that's why I'm coming to His Excellency, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Because this story, and I hope he will like also the part that I'm going to say about him in the book, the disclosures that I have made, because he served in a government that wanted to destroy his political future, wanted to destroy his family, wanted to destroy his business. And because at some point they couldn't reach him, it was those of us, the lesser beings, who were serving him that were being hounded. A mention was made about my sack on television. What followed was even bigger. Frequent arrests, detention, DSS cells, and eventually being dumped in Kuje prison. And I wish Justice Gumi was here, the one who discharged and acquitted me. So one of the lessons we want journalists to take from this experience is journalism is enormous in terms of the power that you yield, deciding which story to use, which story not to use. You can destroy people, you can build them. This book, many years back, Justice Gumi he got into trouble. He was the chief judge of Abuja, FCT High Court, and there was a big fight against him. And they got him, they almost got him, those people who are trying to chase him out. And some of my friends said, there's a gentleman who's a good judge, and they want to destroy him, help him. And I'm glad that Bayo Onanuga is seated here. His magazine, The News, did a cover story. I got Bayo to understand what was happening, and they ran a cover story on Justice Gumi and how he defended his own position. When all of these things were going on, I had forgotten completely. I was being hounded, I was prosecuted, and I was, before Justice Gumi, he was trying me. Gumi could have jailed me. I don't know. I'm not saying that he compromised justice, because the merit of my case was defended adequately. Three SANs in Gige, Akintola, Ricky Tarfa, they were all sponsored by the former Vice President. The goodness of my case was not in doubt. But as a human being, had I refused to help Justice Gumi, had I joined others to antagonize him, and at the end of it, in fact, Justice Gumi sent a gift to me. And I said, no, not for me. This is the tradition we carry for Bariwa College, of which you are also a product. I will not take any gift. You can maybe the small boys over there who helped you. And that was it. So I'm saying that we're trying to bring learning to young people so that they can take examples from, and it is not even inside the government. You had situations where you feel you are in the same political party, the same government, you are feeling in the same direction, and then somebody who should know gives you misleading information. As a journalist, we are taught to not to lower your guard, check and cross-check everything that they give you. But this one is a senior person in your government, you are working with them. What do you stand to gain by misleading you? So these things, and for the former President Muhammadu Buhari, we have with him for 8 years old. I hope we are able to bring him much closer to Nigeria so that they will understand him, including, as the Vice President said, the things that he eats, the clothes that he wears. Why would he reject a diamond wristwatch? All of these things, people will learn, from them. And to talk about, and the book also addressing a lot of the things that Boss Mustafa has said that were authoritatively collected and presented in a very summary form. So Muhammadu Buhari has done his part, and the legacy must be preserved. This is a country that forgets too often. We are bedeviled by amnesia. The moment you go, they forget about you and they move on. So we must continue to preserve the legacy and keep the records of our former leaders. I think I will not say much. I'm supposed to introduce. So the book is intended to achieve two major objectives. It's a learning document for younger people who are learning journalism and public relations in schools, and two, to project the legacies of President Muhammadu Buhari. Before I take my seat, I know that I will not be back to say my vote of thanks. I'd like to thank everyone who has come here, and in particular, cite the two younger brothers of Mrs. Buhari, who also have not been recognized, Mahmoud and Ahmed. And Lord Garba actually was my roommate and classmate in Barewa College. And I'm happy that he's good. They said he brought a bullion bag here. I'm glad that I had this. And Femi Adesina also, I must mention him because he's just a special kind of person. You know, and Governor Fahimi is in this room. When they first appointed us, and it's in the book, he called us to his suite in Hilton and said, "You two, you must not fight." I said, "Me and Femi, we won't fight." He kept on wanting to, how would you work as spokespersons, two of you, and you don't fight? But in the end, here we are. It's like, you know, two men sharing one wife, and they don't quarrel about it. that's how we ended it. And please also, Nduka Obaibena is my boss in the media. He's done everything for me, and I really appreciate his generosity. And lastly, my wife, Hafsatu, she's seated there. Before we were going through those hassles, arrest and detention, we used to hear about high blood pressure from our neighbors. It came to our house that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Garba Shehu, for putting your experience.